So one of the reasons I follow pages like the Midas Touch Network and became my own independent content creator as well is because I felt like the mainstream media is just inept. I don't feel like they hold politicians accountable. I don't feel like they do their due diligence. And so I've realized that people like myself and Tennessee Brando, Brian Tyler Cohen, Adam Mockler, Tabitha Speaks, there's so many of us that are actually doing the work that mainstream media outlets refuse to do. And really, there comes a point where these mainstream media people see their jobs as more important than serving the American people. They see their livelihood, their ability to make money as more important than doing the work to keep us well informed. And Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough basically proved that because they decided to go to Mar-a-Lago to have a conversation with Donald Trump to kind of mend some of their issues with him and try and open up communication. These are people who we thought at a point was doing the work, right? They were going to be a part of the resistance. But now that Donald Trump has become the president-elect, instead of becoming the resistance, they're now trying to become his ally.
And even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
And let me be clear here. You can cover Donald Trump without being his ally or his friend. You can hold his feet to the fire as a person, a journalist, because that's what you're supposed to do. There's never a need for journalists to go and meet with a president-elect so that they can open up lines of communication. MSNBC has always had lines of communication with Donald Trump and Donald Trump's circle. So that was never cut off. MSNBC will be allowed to be at press briefings and so forth. So they didn't need to make that step. They made that step because, in my opinion, they're afraid of what might be coming. And see, that's where independent media like myself, Midas Touch Network, and all the other people that I named, we don't have to worry about that. We don't have to worry about what Donald Trump or any other politician might say or do to our network, because our network is basically us. And it's actually disheartening to hear them give this speech about how they met with Donald Trump and they just wanted to see if there was some common ground and all that. No, you don't need to do that. What you do is you cover him. You ask questions. You hold his feet to the fire. You make sure that he's being honest with you. That is what you do as a journalist. You don't need to meet with him at his home or anything like that. This is pathetic. It should piss everyone off because it just shows you what we've been saying for a while, that we have an inept media. If we had a media here that was honest, that did their jobs, we probably wouldn't have candidates like Donald Trump Jr. being able to get to the levels of being president not being president for 4 years, after being indicted for over 30 counts, after being an adjudicated sexual assaulter, becoming president again. That is because we don't have honest mainstream media, and that is what Mika and Joe showed you today. Period.
Don't want no enemies or ops. Envy in they heart, I tell them stop. Vacation on the yacht.